Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel Unique Bio Classes based on NCERT syllabus for PUC first and second year. If you like my channel, please subscribe, hit the bell icon so that you can get notifications as soon as videos are getting uploaded. Okay, we shall start today's class. In the previous video, we have discussed about megasporogenesis and the formation of an embryo sac, as we have discussed about this structure completely in detail and how does this structure has been formed. Now in this, the gamete was egg. Is it? Egg is the female gamete. Pollen grain used to carry two male gametes. You have to remember all those, so that will be continued later. Okay, so now we shall proceed with the pollination. Why pollination takes place? Because here both the types of gametes are non-motile. Which both types of gametes are non-motile? That is XL and the pollen grain. Pollen grain is non-motile, and XL is also non-motile. As both the types of gametes are non-motile, they have to reach each other with the help of one of the method called as pollination. So pollination is nothing but a transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of a pistil is called as pollination. Okay, the definition of pollination is here. Transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of a pistil is called as pollination. So pollination is of different types. Let me explain you. Okay, if we talk about pollination we can give of two different types. One is self-pollination. Another one is cross-pollination. Okay. Now self-pollination means when pollination takes place in the same flower. Cross-pollination when pollination takes place in two different plants. Now in self-pollination we have again two different types, that is autogamy and Geitenogamy. Okay, and in cross-pollination we have Xenogamy. Right, so these are the different types of pollination based on the source. Okay, based on the source of pollen grain, we have divided pollination as autogamy, Geitenogamy and Xenogamy. Now what is autogamy? Autogamy means what happens? Transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma. Now pollen grain is released from the anther, right? Now this pollen grain is released from the anther to the stigma of a same flower. This is in a one flower. When it is a bisexual flower, the pollen grains are released from the anther and reach the stigma. In a Geitenogamy, if this is a plant which carries flowers, this is one plant which carries flowers. Now here the transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of another flower of the same plant. Okay, now this is a flower, this is also a flower. Now pollen grain is reaching from one flower to the another flower of the same plant. That we call it as Geitenogamy. Here in the same flower, here in two different flowers in the same plant. And in Xenogamy, here cross pollination means in between two different plants. Now this is one plant, this is another plant. These we have shown it as flowers. Transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of another plant. Okay, there are two different plants are involved. We call it as cross pollination or Xenogamy. Two different flowers in a same plant, Geitenogamy. Then when a transfer takes place between a same flower, we call it as autogamy. Hope you understood this. Now I shall explain this one in your textbook. Okay, in your textbook, as they have given kinds of pollination, this kinds of pollination is depending on the source of pollen. Okay, depending on the source of pollen, kinds of pollination has been given out of three types. Autogamy, it is a transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of a same flower, as I have shown earlier. Okay, here autogamy, it takes place in such flowers which require synchrony. Synchrony means at a time. Okay, at the same time, synchronization, we use this term. Okay, synchronization in pollen release and stigma receptivity. Okay, so as I have said here that autogamy is like this. The anther will release pollen grains and reach the stigma. Here synchronization is required in between these two, which one? Male reproductive organ and a female reproductive organ. What kind of synchronization? Both should mature at the same time. Okay, if both are maturing at the same time, then only pollen grain will release to the stigma. If here anther is matured, stigma is not yet matured, then what happens? Then this anther will release pollen grains to some other flower or some other plant. Okay, then autogamy chances are less. So that's why autogamy is rare in many of the flowers in flowering plants, but if it has to occur, then there must be synchronization between both of those. If stigma has been matured and anther has not yet matured, then stigma will get the pollen grain from some other flower, not from the same flower. Okay, so preserve this. So there must be synchronization. So flowers require synchrony in pollen release and stigma receptivity, and also the anthers and the stigma should lie close to each other. Okay, you will find here should lie close to each other, that self pollination can occur. Okay, so in this autogamy, stigma, this is stigma and anther, both should lie close to each other. If both are far away from each other, then pollination, self pollination or an autogamy could not take place. Some plants such as viola, which is commonly called as common pansy, oxalis and comolina will produce two types of flowers, that is, one is Xenogamy, another one is Clistogamy. We have two types of flowers. Two types of flowers. One is Xenogamy flowers, and another one is Clistogamy flowers. Now, Xenogamy flowers are those which are always open, which you might have seen normally rose flower or hibiscus flower, which is having exposed anther and stigma. Clistogamy flowers are those which are always closed. Flower which is always closed, we call it as Clistogamy flower. Okay, so when they are always closed, then there is chance of only autogamy. There is no chance of cross pollination. Is it? There is an assured seed set in Clistogamy flowers. Assured seed set because when pollination can definitely take place because it is closed. If it would have been open, that pollen can reach to some other flower and chances of fertilization would have been reduced. But because it is closed, then chance of fertilization is 100% we can give, because both anther and a stigma are present inside the flower and it is closed. Pollination takes place and it can assure that there will be a formation of a seed after fertilization. So that is what we find in Clistogamy flowers. Okay. So here if you come to your textbook, Xenogamy flowers which are similar to flowers of other species with exposed anther and stigma. Okay, Clistogamy flowers which do not open at all. In such flowers, anthers and stigma lie close to each other. This is the one feature in Clistogamy, anther and stigma lie close to each other, and when anthers dies in a flower, flower buds, pollen grains come in contact with the stigma to affect pollination. Thus, Clistogamy flowers are invariably autogamous as there is no chance of cross pollen line. Is it? So, in Clistogamy flowers, there is a chance of only autogamy. There is no chance of cross pollination because it is closed. Clistogamy flowers produce assured seed set even in the absence of pollinators, because it is closed. It does not require any kind of pollinator. So, that's why there is an assured seed set. Okay. So, they will get how is it possible in oxalis and viola plant to produce assured seed set in absence of pollinators? Because it is closed flower, so it does not require any kind of pollinators, so it can assure seed set even in the absence of pollinator. Okay, this year we have got this question about autogamy, and they have asked to mention two types of flowers in autogamy, that is Xenogamy and Clistogamy. What are these you should know, and some information related to Clistogamy information is more, so you have to know about its detail. Now in autogamy, I would like to add some more information, that is devices favoring self-pollination. Devices which help in self-pollination or autogamy, that I shall discuss, which we have discussed in our textbook, that I shall give in some separate way. That is, first one is homogamy. Okay, devices which favor self-pollination. First one is homogamy. In homogamy, that what we say, homogamy is not, homo means same, anther and stigma should attain maturity at same time. This will be the homogamy. Second one, because this should be there, as we said, synchronization between anther and stigma is necessary, that you can give it as homogamy. This is one condition for autogamy, one device which favors autogamy or self-pollination. And next condition is about Clistogamy. As we know, Clistogamy flowers are the closed flowers, then definitely there is a chance of only autogamy, no chance of cross-pollination. Next, third one, about Clistogamy flowers, you have in your textbooks, you can get from there. third one, by bending of stamen on stigma. By bending of stamen on stigma. Okay, now for this we can say something like this. Stamen is something like this. This is stigma. If a stamen is bending on stigma, something like this, so that pollen grains which are getting released from it, so it can easily get dropped on the stigma. So this is also helping for self-pollination or for autogamy. Next, fourth one, curving of receptive surface of stigma downward and inward coming in contact with own pollen grain. Okay, so in this curving of receptive surface of stigma, which will be the receptive surface of stigma? This portion will be the receptive surface of stigma. Receptive means that will receive. Okay, so curving of receptive surface of stigma, this stigma should get curved. If it is getting curved easily, then what happens? Easily it can trap the pollen grain and pollen grain can get attached to it. So this is the another method or the another device to help for autogamy. Okay, so these are the devices which favor self-pollination or autogamy. So this is the complete information of autogamy. Now after autogamy, we said about Geitenogamy. What we said Geitenogamy? Transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of another flower of the same plant. Is it? We are talking about only one plant. Okay, so in your textbook you'll find it is something like this. Transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma of another flower of the same plant. Okay, here you have complete definition. Although Geitenogamy is functionally cross-pollination. Okay, by looking itself you can say it is cross-pollination, but genetically it is similar to autogamy. Okay, because we are saying from one flower to the another flower, it appears like a cross-pollination, but genetically it is self-pollination. Why? Because genetically it is autogamy, because both the flowers are from a same plant, so genetically they are similar. Okay, if they were from two different flowers, then genetically they will be different. As we can find in our sexual reproduction, genetically offsprings are similar, identical, and for that we call it as clone. Is it? Similarly, if one parent is involved, then they are genetically identical. If two parents are involved, then they are genetically not identical. Okay, Geitenogamy, it might be overview is cross pollination, but actually it is genetically it is similar to autogamy. Hope you got this. No much information about this. Next one, transfer of pollen grains. Xenogamy. Xenogamy is what? Transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of a different plant. Okay, as we have shown here, of a different plant. This is the only type of pollination which during pollination brings genetically different types of pollen grains to the stigma. Is it? Why genetically different? Because two different plants are involved. That's why it is genetically different. Okay, so very important concept it is. Either autogamy, Geitenogamy, Xenogamy, altogether 3-mark question. Separately they have asked many times what is autogamy, what is Geitenogamy, what is Xenogamy, some information related to it, and it's not that difficult. You have to remember these examples: Viola, Oxalis and Commelina, which will show two types of flowers, Chasmogamas and Clistogamas, which will find it here. This is the plant which shows Clistogamas flowers which is underground, and Chasmogamas flowers which are above the ground, which have been exposed, which you find normally hibiscus, rose plant, something like that. Okay, and here they have given example about cross-pollinated flower, another one is self-pollinated flower. And self-pollinated flower, what they have shown, it is showing vexillary distribution. Vexillary distribution, as we have studied in first year, the largest petal is standard, then comes wings, then comes scale. This will be that kind of flower. Okay, so next we have agents of pollination. Based on agents of pollination, we have agents of pollination. In agents of pollination, there are two different types of agents which we can use. One is abiotic, another one is biotic. Okay, abiotic, as you know, it is non-living, biotic is living. In abiotic, we are using the pollinating agents are used as wind and water, whereas biotic agents are animals, only animals. Okay, so in this I have given a list of these organisms, something like this you'll find. Okay, if pollination is taking place through air, it is called as anemophily. If it is through water, hydrophily. Through animals, zoophily. If it is taking place through bats, chiropterophily or chiropterophily. Birds, ornithophily. Snails and slugs, malacophily. Ants, myrmecophily. Insects, entomophily. So these are different types of pollinating agents. With that, it has been given different pollination. So air means anemo. Okay, anemometer we might be using in physics. Anemo means air. Anemophily, air pollination. Hydro means water, water pollination. Zoo means animal, animal pollination. Similarly, here different types of pollination are there. Further, I shall discuss about each one in detail in my next video. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy.